Here we go. The power flickering is making so many things interesting at the moment. Okay, where is our software? Because we want to... Yeah, that's better. We want to get the window up and running. But I'd also like to restart Explorer. Here we go. That should fix Explorer. Yes, that has fixed Explorer. Now we're doing better. But we are fixed. We fixed it now. Okay. Let's see, we want to start showing the mix it up windows. Here we go, commands. Nah, it should be fine, it should be fine. Let's toggle this to visible and fix the window itself. That's the one we want. Here we go. And I would like to add... Where is our overall command? I thought we added a new one. I only see the 8 here. Did it not save the one that we were working on? We may need to start over again. Because I don't see that in there. Yeah, since that has disappeared, we're going to need to recreate the command from scratch. That's fine. We'll just deal with it. That's fine. And instead of finishing it, we're going to do it from the beginning to the end. So, since we have the opportunity, one more thing I would like to add before bundling the thing is event triggers. We're going to update this and change the content. The goal is no longer adding a composite command for starting a timer with a partial config. It'll be add composite command for, hey, hello, good afternoon, how are you doing, Clost? Hi there. Is it a little wave or a little wiggle? Good evening. I said good evening because I'm so used to being in the evening because I got off of work. But I got off of work and it's not evening yet. So good afternoon. Hi, hello, hey, howdy, how are you? Welcome in, welcome in. We got off of work a little bit early today because of the storms and rain. So, a nice chill afternoon. It feels so out of order. Let's see. We want to add a composite command for starting timer with multiple settings. Command to add time to timer. Command to remove, subtract time from timer. And add event triggers for add remove time. We're going to say under that we have one for subs follows. We're actually going to change the order on that. Follows comes before subs, and then raids. And then config for event trigger times per event. Those are our goals. Let's move that all the way over to the left instead. What did I just move? Okay, I'm not sure what that was, but there we go. Put that right there, yeah. That's good. And let's see. But hey, hi, hello. How are you? What's up? How's it been going, man? Commands. We want to start creating a new command. Our first goal is composite for multiple. So let's get our open editor, our IDE, opened up so that we can start work on this. Open toolbox and open webs, not WebStorm. We're working with PyCharm right now. No, it's WebStorm. Open Sesame. Oh, that's what's off to the side. Did I click the right one? Let's disappear that for a moment. Okay, cool. And move this off to the side. Alright. So we've got our to-do right there. Composite command to set multiple. Let's see, here's what we wanted. Timer start. We want a timer add and timer sub. We've got timeout. We've got countdown. No, we have countdown and duration. We don't have one to add or subtract. We didn't do either of these yet, and we don't have those. Potential partial setting updates. Potential full setting replacement. Turn back on the studio mode. Let's see, we don't have that yet. Take that timer and pull it in right there. Okay, let's see. Timer countdown, or duration. And we're gonna say 5 minutes. Timer countdown. We want to switch it, and then timer pause, and timer duration 5 minutes. Interesting. That has a little bit of finickiness. I wonder why. What the trigger for that is. We should do some investigation on that as we come back to it, so that it is nice and clean when we're ready for it. Where did my window for this go? Okay, cool, that's working. I don't think it's spamming it. It looks like it's properly deleting the messages. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. And I would like a little bit of rain backdrop to add to this. Just because of the environment right now. So let's see. Yeah, give me that. Well, that's not instrumental. It is piano, though. This song is calling me out, guys. It's calling me out so hard right now. That looks good. Now I need the source. Okay, that sounds good. Add a media source. Here we go. Let's pull it a little bit further back into the background. There we go. That's a little more background now. I do hope that's not too quiet. And what are the dimensions of this file? Video-wise. And then expand it to our screen. There we go. Now we just want to pull that down a little bit. That's looking better. And I just want to turn down the opacity of this slightly. Not on that, on here. Filters Here we go. Color correction, that's right. With this, we can turn the opacity down to a nice 35%. That way it's not too much in the way. I kinda like it around the 55. So we'll stick at 55. There we go. How's that, guys? Hydrate. Well, it's a rainy day, so we have to add some rain. Thank you for dropping in, Shay. I appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. I really do. And I do appreciate you dropping in and saying hi and causing chaos. I wouldn't expect anything less. But enjoy your afternoon. Feel free to hop on by and cause all the chaos you want whenever you need to. We'll be here. Let's see. Next up is knocking off some of these items from our to-do list. I don't know. I might not cause enough chaos. So number one is adding a composite command to start it with multiple settings. I think we're actually going to skip that. Our duration countdown do work. Those two didn't work. We're going to need to delete those. Do. Can you even delete your own messages? No, you cannot. Okay, well, timer start and timer pause. Let's see, timer duration 60, 300. Duration keeps going by offset. Duration needs to reset the offset. So let's bring back up our mix it up and start editing that. Set duration, edit this, and bring up our editor for it. Properties. Yes, that one is correct. Now we're in view. So this needs to set offset. Add a special identifier to reset offset, make globally usable, and offset gets set to 0. And then refresh after that. Save that. And timer duration 300. That doesn't seem to be working quite the way we intended. Duration offset. Let's edit start to see how that works. Resume. Edit resume. Resume from offset. Set paused. Set date. By offset. So duration needs to resume from offset. I think what we first need to do is set the date to date plus offset. What modifies the offset? Hello, good afternoon. Howdy, welcome in, Bubba. I am well. Got off of work just a little bit early today because of storm. Why is my face going all wonky? Oh, that switched. I see. But yes, things are going well. Got off of work just a little bit early because of thunder showers. And now we're taking advantage of that opportunity to get some work done on deploying this plugin for people so that it's actually more available for use. How are you? How are you, friend? Good afternoon. There we go. We should be recalibrated now, but instead we're broken. Are we back? We are back. It seems to me like I have the rigging set up inappropriately for this to be moving my face. Since that's not actually me moving my face, That's just me tilting my head left and right. I do seem to recall having that fixed at one point in time, but I probably need to recalibrate it. So that'll be one of our next works. Re-rigging something with Live 2D. All is well here. That's good to hear. I'm glad. Today is a nice cozy day. Got off of work a little bit early from the thunder showers and flood warnings, and taking the opportunity to work on all this and get it available for use. Since 8 commands isn't particularly shareable, we're turning it into a single command. But first, we want to add something for event triggers. For follows, subs, raids. We can't actually test subs on this channel, since, well, we haven't and probably won't affiliate. At least for a while. But we can trigger the event calls as if they were being run, and test it that way. So let's see, we want duration. We actually don't want duration to do that. We want a timer duration 300, timer reset. There we go. That's what we actually want. So we don't want to modify that, because having it not modify the offset makes it possible to adjust the duration while it's going. In other words, say like add 5 minutes, take away 5 minutes without killing the offset. So that's actually correct. It was just a order of operations that I was triggering incorrectly when looking at this. So, expanding on duration, let's add 2 commands. Timer add seconds. Time to the timer duration. We're going to say add 10. 10 seconds to the timer. And timer sub. I don't know. Sub may be the best way to go. What do you think? Sub for subtract, remove, delete, reduce, add with a negative value. Like, I guess you could say add -10. But that might be weird. And then over here, subtract 10 seconds from the timer. Let's get these 2 in there. And I think this one, we're probably not going to do that. That just doesn't seem sustainable. So we can remove that, and we're going to add these as aliases for duration to take the current duration and add or subtract time from it. So let's new command and say this is going to be add duration. And that's going to be timer add. So add one action. Okay, fine. We're going to run a command. And that's going to be refresh. This is going to run the pre-made chat. It's not a chat, it's an action group. The pre-made refresh action group. Save that as an initial template. Set duration. And we're going to look at this. This calls it with a duration. So what this is actually going to do is if we edit this and reference our set duration, what we're really going to do is a special identifier, and this is going to be duration, which is going to be set from that chrono tinker duration. And this is going to take an argument called duration. And it's going to be a number. It's not optional. Do not assign it to special identifiers. Oh, you can't see those. That's weird. We have a new argument in there now. We're going to need our reference back up again. So let's resume that. Hop over to our reference and have it start showing the documentation for this again. Open up a new window. Without all of my bookmarks. And we're going to go to Mix It Up Docs. Cool. Let's connect that to our window. Just plugging this in real quick for us. And let's fix the transform. Hide the timer from there. And there we go. We can switch over to our reference instead. And bring back in our yeah, just like that. Okay, we have our reference. Let's pull that back up and look through here. What we want is commands. Where is our documentation for how the arguments work here? We want base commands. I think we're going to want a little bit more screen space. That is tiny. Is that actually readable? It seems like it's somewhat readable. But I think it could be better. Oh, that's weird. It seems to be baking in a modification that's getting rid of the bookmarks bar from it. But I'm honestly not sure why. We don't have any filters on the source, so where is it coming from? This is fine. Well, alrighty then. So let's see, we want special identifiers. That should tell us what we're looking for. We're going to need to go to the event soon. What we want is arguments. Argument special identifiers. There's all args, there's arg count, arg1 text, arg1 user, etc. We're going to need arg1 text. So if we come back over to our developing here, here we go. I'm going to tap back into our editor. And here we go. Our duration is coming from arg1 text. We are setting chronotinker duration to the duration from the old argument. So what we are going to do is we are instead going to call a command. Add this command, and it's going to be add duration. This is going to run the chat command called set duration with an argument of duration. This is going to be a math expression from chronotinker duration plus whatever we set from up here. We can now remove the old refresh, and in here we can say add set duration to duration plus arg1. Call add or set duration. Yeah, we're going to call it set duration. That'll be a little bit easier to read. As far as what's actually happening, equals chronotinker duration plus arg1. Okay, that's a little bit easier to actually grok in terms of what's happening here. So let's save that and add a new one for subtract. But first let's test it. So timer reset, timer add 5. There we go, guys. Add is working already. We need to connect that to events so that those can also modify the time. But we want to add one more command so that we can subtract time. The reason why you might want something for subtracting time is, say, you add a redeem for channel points or for bits to say, for every 100 bits that you put in, we're going to shave a minute off of the timer for how long I have to complete this task. We probably need to add a way to limit just how much you're able to remove. But the first step is implementing something so that you can remove time to begin with. So let's get that implemented. We're going to develop a subtract duration command. So let's pull up that command window and add a new command here. This is going to be timer sub. Chronotinker subtract duration. And this is going to take another argument, duration of type number. And do not add to special identifiers. Double check our old command that we just created. Fix the privileges on it. And then set up our new command so that it is also configured that way. Create a special identifier action, which is called duration equals minus arg1. And what we're going to do is set a local special identifier. We do not want this one to be global usable because we do not want to override what's already there in the other ones. So what we're doing over here specifically is setting our... Can you even see that window? No, it gave you the wrong window. Let's fix that so that you can see what we're actually working on right now. Close that out. And then come back over to our add. There we go. Now you can see. What we're doing is we're making this not globally usable because we want to set it minus arg1 text to a math expression from our other actually global ones, since we're about to call another action over here, which is of the command type, to set duration to duration that we just set over here. And this is going to run a command from chat for set duration. And what we're going to do here is call it with the argument duration. And that'll be it for that command. With that, we should now be able to timer sub by any amount of time to remove time from the timer. So timer resume, timer add 5, and now we can add and subtract from our timer in order to get those events rolling, to either reduce the time that we have remaining for however long we have left to complete an action or objective in, or we can make it add to the timer to say how long we have to remain for an objective on. For example, either a subathon or a I'm locked inside objective or otherwise. With those tools in place, let's utilize those with events. We're going to update our to-do list over here. And really quick, we're going to pause that timer so it doesn't keep counting down on us. Just since I know that that is a little bit stressful for a few. You see it's continuing to count down. We're going to cross those out. So add time to timer is complete. And subtract time from timer is complete. We want event triggers for follows, subs, raids, and I guess we also want ones for bits and channel points. And these ones are questionable, since I think channel points, you probably want that to be channel point redeem, you know, with an O. And bits, the question is, how do you configure that? We're not quite sure yet what the best way to approach that is. If you have any ideas in chat, feel free to comment. I would be glad to take that feedback. Thank you. Words. And see what would make the most sense for that. So if you have an opinion regarding how bits should interact with modifications to remaining time, let me know. I'm not quite sure yet what the best way to address that is, other than it's an interesting idea. So here we go. It might be best to just allow you to use the command, like a mod or the streamer, to use the command to update the remaining time after a certain amount of bits have been used. So instead of automating it, manually watching it may be better on the smaller channels. But for the bigger channels, maybe something that actually is automated is the best way to go there. So let's see. We're going to hop into event triggers for follows and subs. With raids, I'm not quite sure if that's a valid trigger or not. So we'll put a question mark next to that. And then hop on into the follows and subs. I do still think the bits are interesting because counting up, for example with a subathon, is very useful for long-term timers where you do want it to continue extending. But we do need to determine a limit. And that is probably based on after it's been reset. So for each reset of the timer, you have a limit to how much the bits and or subs, probably from a shared pool, are able to modify the timer. So we need to assign the subs and bits to a certain counter and say there is a limit to just how many points from those subs, bits, raids, follows, channel point redeems are able to modify your timer. So most likely, what we need to do is a command or a dashboard setting. I kind of like either or both, that will determine the number of points for each event, which event modifications should happen independently of the command. The command probably should not be restricted in terms of how much it can add or remove from the timer, since those are manual actions taken by, say, a moderator, or a streamer, or a trusted VIP, or whomever you have set up to have access to said commands. But because those are manual, you don't want to restrict those, just the automated event triggers. So we need commands to set each event counter in order to configure them. So something like, for example, timer settings event.raid, and then we're going to say that's 5 points, event.bit 1 point. We're going to need to drastically factor that. A sub would be worth 250 points. A bit is 1 point. So 250 bits or 1 sub. A raid, we're going to say sure, equivalent to whatever. And these are just examples. These aren't actual settings that we're predefining. We're just saying how you could do it. And then we're going to say, for example, a follow would be the equivalent of 50 bits. And then the other would be redeem, which means you need to be able to link it to your redeem somehow. So we need a separate command to run the event add that these can trigger. And this, then you could trigger up multiple different redeems to different amounts on the timer, so that you can configure each one with its own cooldown, its own cost, its own limits. So you probably don't want something that's like a redeem. You want something that's a command that redeem can effectively call, which is something like event add or event sub. Add 30 seconds to the timer from all the way back, an event trigger. And then this one, for example, is going to be subtract 17 seconds from the trigger timer from an event trigger, so that you can set up your redeems, your follows, raids, bits, subs, etc. through Mixitup to do any of the above. So what we're going to do is come back to our command editor. We have this implemented. We're going to save that, close it out, and come back over to our command list here. We see that we've added our add duration, pause, reset, resume, countdown. We have our that window did not want to expand properly. Set duration, start, pause, stop, subtract duration, which is similar to add duration, and toggle. We want to check out events. And on a Twitch event, we're going to say a Twitch channel followed, add command, and this is going to be call a regular command, which is run command, and this would call chat, add duration, with an argument of 15, so that you could configure this way to have add 15 seconds per follow. You can configure it that way however you want it to work. And all of these just follow suit. So what we want right now is an event add and event sub that are limited. So what we need to make that limited is some way to identify Our music paused. We finished all the songs. There we go. Now we're resumed. That's a little bit quiet. So we're going to turn it up. Just a bit, just a bit. Yeah, right there. That's good. Let's see. This one's getting a little bit bouncy. I like that. We're gonna be right back, and we'll get back to working on that code to get everything just the way we want it. I'll see you in just a moment here. What we're going to do next is, as it happens, making an event sub and event add is all we actually need to do. We don't need to deal with points or anything like that. Through a mix it up at least. To get all this working, what we need to do is set a limit to how much time can be added or removed through an event. And that'll get us set to go for the rest. So I'll catch y'all in just a minute here. And the music paused again. Let's get that going. There we go. Our music is back. There we go. Okay. My rig does not like me rolling my neck. We're looking upwards. Looking downwards is fine. But looking upwards sends me all the way to the left. I suspect that it's a rotational issue. Okay. Let's see. We don't need these. We do need something like timer settings event dot limit. Limit duration changes from events to a total of, to an absolute value of 300 seconds. Limit duration changes from events to no more than 300 seconds. E.g. Let's actually add a comment over here. For example, event sub 350, caps at 300, while event add see the following: timer event sub 50 duration is reduced by 50 seconds. Timer event add 15. Duration is reduced by 35 seconds. 50 minus 50 plus 15 equals negative 35. Event sub 45. This would be 80 seconds. 0 minus 50 equals negative 50. 0 minus 50 plus we're actually going to say 35 minus 45 equals negative 80. And now we say a limit of 300. So we're going to say something really ridiculous here and say 300 this time. Zero minus 80 minus 300 is equal to negative 380. 380 is greater than 300. So result is negative 300. Cumulative. Duration changes from events to 300 seconds. So we need to figure out a way to serialize the current settings and inject an INI form or YAML form setting for commands. the same idea can be applied to event add too. Changes would go no higher than 300 seconds. Timer event add, let's say 700. Duration is increased by 300 seconds. 0 minus 300 plus 700 equals 400. 400 is greater than 300, so result is plus 300. What would you name that command? Huh. Our window, just closed itself. Let's set that to not suspend for the time being. And come back to our editing window here. Timer, event limit. What would you call that? Oh, I never switched windows. Hi guys. Okay, we're back. We're fixed. We're not scuffed, I swear. Let's hide that timer for now. What are we going to call this? Event add, event sub. For now, we're going to call it event limit. Limit cumulative duration edit. Events to 300 seconds. Okay, let's see. Duration. What are we going to call this variable, or this setting? There is duration, and there is event. Chronotanker, event duration, number 0 seconds. Offset. So you have your original duration, you have your offset. The amount that events has modified your duration so that you can limit the amount that events modify it without actually limiting manual overrides. Duration offset is what we're going to call it. Duration offset. And then come into our code here and find our event offset number or undefined. And we now create an event which is offset 0 undefined. Where does this come in? That needs to be a number. Duration plus this settings offset, event offset minus the lapsed. Yes, that should be a plus. Reason why that is specifically a plus instead of a minus is, say we have 10 seconds to do something, our events add, or 10 seconds we have to, what do you call it? Say like 10 seconds to survive something. This is increasing it to 30 seconds. Your countdown continues to reduce that time that you have to hold on for. But these events increase that. So if you wanted it to remove, you would use sub instead of add. And since sub will give you a negative value, your offset will be updated accordingly. So it acts the same as duration. It's a positive number. Event offset times 1000. Warn duration plus this settings event offset times 1000 plus settings event offset times 1000 Good. 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 Okay, that gives us our event offset, which is now separate from our actual duration. We can save that, and it is now being loaded from the chronotinker duration offset variable. Once again, I hit F1. Let's close that, go back to our IDE, and start updating that command. So I need to tab back into our editors. We're going to close that out. After resetting that, come back to our chat commands. That is not the right window. Also not the right window. That's the right window. Create a new command, which is going to be event. And we want timer event add. And we're going to say we have a number duration. And this is going to call, we need to create a new command for this altogether. New command, chronotinker, set duration event. Offset. And this is going to be timer event set. Duration number. Sure, assigned to special identifiers. Let us reference the old duration. And we're going to make a new special identifier action here. And this is going to be chronotinker duration offset equals duration. And what we're doing here is chronotinker duration offset make globally usable. And this is going to be set to the value of duration. We are now going to add a command trigger here, which is run command chat reset. No, that's wrong. This needs to be a special identifier, which is reset chronotinker offset. Did we just add that earlier? We might not want that. Let me think through this. When you start, you're setting the offset to 0 seconds. When you pause it, you save the offset. so that you can modify it. Or resume it. You use ChronoTinker offset when resuming the timer to say whatever the current time is minus the offset for the time previously elapsed is the time remaining on the clock, or our new target. Because our date that we save is our current time. Our offset is our elapsed time. When we have a duration, we take that duration and use it for our countdowns and our buzzer. For the ticker at the end, and the final buzzer. If we don't have a duration, it's because we're simply using a stopwatch, essentially. So the last thing that we need here is duration should not modify offset. That was a recent change. And reset is what should do that. I'll probably need to go back and double check the VODs to verify that that was actually recent. But for now, we're going to move forward with confidence and say, that's what we're doing. So take this here and excuse me. We're going to set our duration offset. To that duration, we are going to add a conditional. Which is chrono tinker offset is greater than I guess it should be called event offset instead of duration offset. It is an offset to the duration. And we should shorten these variable names for readability. Duration offset is greater than event limit. The other thing we need to do is handle the negative case. How are we going to handle that? Or how do we want to handle that? Because I don't see an absolute method here to do that comparison. However, the math should make it so that we're safe. So we're going to trust the math for now and say if it's greater than the limit, then special identifier is equal to event limit. And since we can't do an absolute, we're going to need a new special identifier. Event limit negative equals 0 minus event limit. This is not going to be globally usable, this is going to be local. And this is going to be set to event limit negative, which is a math expression of 0 minus event limit. And now we want to add in some information here. Duration offset equals event limit, just so it's a bit easier to quickly read. Equals arg1. And then the conditional will be if duration offset is less than event limit negative. And we're not going to call it that. We're going to say 0 minus event limit. And we're going to say duration offset equals 0 minus event limit. And now this gets implemented as duration offset is less than event limit negative. Action special identifier duration offset equals 0 minus negative. And that gets implemented as chronotanker duration offset equals event limit negative. Make globally usable. While this one has a mathematical expression. Now we have the clamping function added to here. To limit it to that absolute or cumulative absolute value that we have specified, we do need to create a command for setting that. Which means by default, events are incapable of modifying it until you set a limit. I think that would be an error. So what we're going to do is add a new conditional. If event limit, and we're going to say if event limit is greater than 0, then we'll do all this. Then, if duration offset is greater than event limit, if duration offset is greater than event limit, then special identifier equals, I don't want it in there, I want this in there instead, event limit. And make globally usable. I wish there was an else option here. But I don't actually want this to be an else. Because in this case, it's 0 minus event limit. Which means I need to add a special identifier step. And this is going to be zero minus event limit. This is event limit negative, only because I can't do a mathematical expression in the rest. So 0 minus there we go, copy that. And paste it into here. So if offset is less than chrono tinker or event limit negative, then special identifier duration offset equals 0 minus event limit. And the way we do that is set this to negative and make globally usable. And all that does is make it so if you haven't configured it, then it's not going to be limited yet, because What you have to do is manually go in and create these events to actually make it start modifying it. So you want it to actually start being able to do things if you started adding events yourself. Because the use case for the user is, I go in and add events, I want them to work. So they should immediately start making modifications. So there won't be an event if there hasn't been one set. So it has to be greater than 0. It's a shame there isn't a not on here. We're going to say if it's not equal to blank. That should do what we want. Let's unhide our timer. Take our updated code here. Copy this into our overlay. Overlay widgets, edit. Our HTML can be updated, and our script can be updated. Save that. Hop back into overlay widgets and hit our commands instead. Let's see. What we want to do right now is test this command. So let's timer reset. Timer duration 300. And then we want to run our offset with an argument of positive 5 seconds. No result. We need to add a refresh. So we're going to add a command to this. And this is going to run an action group, which is set to refresh ChronoTinker. Called the refresh widget. Now we run with our arguments, and there we go. We run this with an offset of add 60 seconds. And we're not actually adding that time to the counter. we're setting duration offset. We're parsing duration offset. We'll probably need to do some debugging to identify why. Let's save this and run it as a regular command. Oh, I see. These other commands that make modifications to the timer while it is paused. Do not reload the date from the offset. They need to do so in order to avoid this sort of rendering change. For each time you run a command, while it is paused, the time continues to decrease. We'll take note of that, and remember that our refactored command, where everything has been combined into one, needs to account for that. So update our text to add offset pre-refresh. When paused. Okay, let's see. We need to debug this. So let's hop back over to our reference. And get a link to that timer. And then open up that timer in our reference window here. And get us a debug console. Let's inspect the element and see what our content has. Interesting, that's set to 0. Even when we event set 45, this refreshes, we extend the body, show the script, and it is still 0. So let's hop into our command again. Where is that window? And we want to edit the event set version. can say duration offset is equal to duration. This duration number is assigned to special identifiers. That is good. Duration number special identifiers. Duration globally usable from special identifiers. That shouldn't be doing. Okay. This in turn needs to refresh the widget. And we have our check if we have a limit. Oh, this is running, isn't it? Let's add an action here. Run a sound. Text to speech, I guess? Sure, that's something that we can hear. And then the same thing over here, but negative. Limiting to negative duration seconds. Run this with arguments 60. It's always true. This will never be true. I wish I could. I wish I could say something other than just greater than 0 here. I want to say it has a value. Any value, as long as it's a value. Because I do want to be able to disable events via a command like a limit here. So you don't have to remove those events one by one if you're doing something really quick. So it's less of a hassle. Greater than 0 would technically work here. If we were to say arguments 60, that shouldn't be running both of them simultaneously. It is limiting it to 0 seconds. Even though it says if it's greater than 0, then run these. Let's save that and run it again. So you can't hear that, I don't think. I don't think it's actually coming up on stream. Let me turn on that stream audio for a moment to see what you can hear, because I don't see any bars for it. Yeah, you cannot hear the voice that's playing, which is fine, but it does mean that it's doing something other than what it should be. What we need is something to limit this. With the event set command, so that when, $, good job text, good job, is not empty. Test that. No. Greater than 0. There we go. So the greater than 0 does work. Worst case, you can still limit it to 1 second. And go into events if you really want to, and turn off each of those. Actually, hold on. We can do this. We say if it's greater than 0 or if it's equal to 0. So we're going to switch this to an or add clause, and we're going to say chronotrigger event limit equals 0. So that you can clamp it to 0. Now these need their text to speech removed. Let's remove that. And then run this. I should have kept the text to speech in there. Let's add a text to speech. And we're going to call it add. Add a text to speech. And that's going to be sub. And run that. Oh, right, voice. David desktop. Sure. Run that with 60. Cool, it didn't trigger. That's what we want. Delete both of those. And save. Now you can clamp it down to 0 seconds. Right, we need to implement those. But hey, our event command actually did it. Okay, timer event set 0. Timer reset. And let's see, what we want right now is... Why is that showing up? Let's remove that. Cool. And what we want to do now is make reset, bring it back to 0. So this is going to be a command call. It's going to call chat command event offset 0. Reset event offset. That moves up. And we save that. Timer reset. Timer event set 60. Timer reset 30. 45. 60. Negative 15. Negative 45. Positive 60. Reset. That's looking good. I typoed. Congratulations, Tex. Good job. Okay. We're looking good. We want an add and a sub. So new command. And this is going to be based on our old timer add command. This is chrono tinker add duration event offset. This is going to be timer event add. And this is going to take an argument called duration of type number. We're going to set a special identifier called duration. And set it to a math expression. And it's going to call our command for set event offset. With that new duration. And we're going to rename these. Because I think that kind of made it obvious that what they're actually named is set event offset. Add event offset. And now we're going to create our subtract event offset. So subtract event offset. This is going to be based on our subtract duration command, timer event sub, with a argument called duration of type number, add a special identifier, and add a command. This is duration equals chronotinker minus argwan. And this is going to set duration to the mathematical expression of the event offset minus the amount that we're setting in here. And then we're going to set and refresh that offset. Event offset duration. So this is going to run a check command. Set event offset with that duration. Save. And now let's timer reset, timer resume, timer event add, 45, event set 45. Huh, event add is not doing anything. Same with sub. Why? Duration equals event offset. How does event offset work? It's called duration offset. That's the problem. So we're going to timer pause, timer reset, and then fix both of these. Duration offset. Oh no, that was the wrong one. Chronotinker duration. I'm pretty sure that was offset before. Set duration is chronotinker duration. Subtract duration is duration minus my argument. And so subtract event offset is duration offset. Add event offset is duration offset. And then set event offset is offset. Okay. There we go. Let's timer reset, timer resume, timer event add, 30. Cool, it's going up now. Reset. The first one doesn't seem to do anything. Oh, because reset is wrong. So what we need to do is come back to reset. No, that is calling set event offset to 0. Zero. And refresh. Let's change that to a special identifier. And call it reset duration offset. Run reset. And now timer event add 30. Okay, it worked on the first shot. Timer reset, event add 30, reset, subtract 45, pause, reset. Okay, the other thing we need is the event limit. So set event offset takes if event limit. So what we need is a new command referencing that event limit to say tinker set event offset limit, which is timer event limit. And give it a duration argument of type number. Sure, assign to special identifiers. And this is going to set a special identifier called duration or event limit equals duration. And this is going to set chrono tinker event limit to duration. And then it's going to run a command reevaluate limit in offset. To run chat, set event offset to chrono tinker duration offset. So that if you reduce the limit below what it's set to, it'll apply that clamping mechanism. I wonder if we should apply the clamping via JavaScript over here. That might be the most flexible way to do it. So that it doesn't have to update the value. I know that we went through all the effort to make something to do it. The problem with that is that if you move the limit down to 0 and then move it back up to 300 seconds, for example, or 5 minutes, your offset is now set to 0 because it has clamped it as the value, the variable. If we do it here instead, it'll jump it back up to that limit. And because it's inside the variable, it will actually apply to all of our code throughout the code base without requiring a major refactor. So if we say if chronotinker settings event offset math.absolute of event offset is greater than or equal to, and we're going to use a parse arg. So if, and this one is going to be event limit. So const chronotinker max event offset equals parse arg max event offset refactor this with no default. That's better. If settings event max is greater than, or rather event offset chronotinker settings event max chronotinker event equals something for the sign. We need to add a multiplier. Event max times is there a function inside here for it? Sign. What does sign do? Positive or negative 1? That's what we want. So first, if a max exists, And the offset is greater in absolute value than the max, then the offset is set to its own sign, limited to the max. Yeah, we're pulling that back out of the settings. It should not be part of the settings. Event max. Cool. Nowhere. We're gonna move this to a new line. If it's not undefined, and the absolute value of the offset is greater than the maximum offset, then the offset is set to the maximum offset, according to positive or negative. And then we init. We save that, come back over to our command editor, remove our reevaluate of the limit, add a refresh. So we're going to call a command. This is going to run an action group, which refreshes ChronoTanker. Refresh widget. Save that. Come back over to our command editor, to the set offset. And we can remove our clamping mechanism here now. Because we now do that through our JavaScript. So that you can update and increase the limit to have it apply all the limits that were added on top of it. Yes, that way, as long as you actually have a max offset that's set, not undefined, you can limit it to 0. You can turn it off to remove the limit, and you can set it to an inordinately high number to allow it to apply up to that number. We can take that code, update our widget, copy that code for our widget, remove those breakpoints, save our widget. Okay. And then timer resume, timer event limit 30, timer event add 5, 4, 5, 6. That should be the limit. It won't keep going up. it's still going up. That didn't limit it. So let's hop back into here to debug that. Because it should be counting down right now. Let's refresh that. Expand our iframe. And check out this script. Chrono Tinker event limit is not set. Timer event limit 30. Does it exist now? Main div. Script. It doesn't exist yet. Chrono Tinker event limit. Is our command for it not actually updating the special identifier? Commands event limit. Okay, we have our semicolon at the end. Good. Duration, special identifiers. Chrono Tinker, not globally usable. That was the problem. Timer event limit 30. Event limit 30. Timer reset. Timer event limit 30. Timer event add 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And then it should stop going up. There we go. Timer event limit 40. It's gone up now. It's continuing to limit it or cap it to whatever we specified. Now we can say 0 or we can say off. Comfy chatbot, why are you responding? How are you responding? Oh, because it requires a number. Timer pause, timer reset. So we need to come up with a command to actually disable the limit. I wonder what the best way to do that is, usability-wise, so that you actually like doing it. Or rather, don't dislike doing it. We've still got to turn this into a single command later. But I think we've at least validated that it is working. And you do have workarounds for most things. So we can say we checked off basically all of those event triggers. Event trigger times per event. yes, technically, we do have that. We don't want that. So we pretty much accomplished what we want. So we added in the features. Those are actually good to go, because you can actually configure it now with whatever events to have it make it modify for each. By stepping into your Twitch channel points, add command to rewards, Twitch bits, add a command, and then under your special identifiers, if you come over to your reference here, you can say Twitch events. Where's the events? Where's the events? Streaming channel, user, Twitch specific, feature specific, event commands, and we want Twitch bits cheered, bits amount, chat messages but not extensions. That makes it a little bit difficult. So that's only through cheers specifically, not all bits used. So the bits cheered and the points redeemed will let you say, here, add that many seconds, or some multiple of that many seconds, say like 1/5 of that many. $5, 5 seconds. $5, 5 minutes. Yeah. And redeems for like say 60 seconds, 5 minutes, etc. with different cooldowns, etc. All of those are doable thanks to that. Let's take that and say, that's pretty good. Let's call it there. Since we did accomplish our goal, and unwind. Should we do a little bit of music first? Or just close it out? It would be nicer if the usage was a little bit more user-friendly. But I think that's good. We can just close it there. Let's turn off Japanese mode so I can actually type. If you are around. Let's see. Is this emote actually... No, that's a limited time emote. Which emotes are actually available for us? Yeah, that sounds good. So, we're gonna say hi to a friendo. They are live right now. I think they're AFK. Actually, finishing up work and not chores, but you know, all that kind of fun catch up. They're on a subathon right now. We're gonna pop in, say hi, and drop on over there to give them a little wave. Things have been rough on that end, I'm sure. They received some interesting news earlier, which you can probably find out about that over in their Discord. But we're going to share some love and some encouragement and say hi to Sasuga Reina. And end it out for the day. Thank y'all for dropping in. The next time we're going to be live is, oh no, probably about a week-ish. Got some work coming up and plenty of other things on the outskirts, various things around the house that I need to work on, etc. So I don't plan on being live much this coming week, since I'm down a couple of people on my team, etc. But I will be catching you all again next time. I anticipate probably around next Monday. At that time, I think we'll be back to Hollow Knight again, instead of doing this weird super early stream for the co-working deal. But y'all take care, hydrate, shower if need be, relax, rest, whatever it may be, to take care of yourself so that you're in good condition and you can hang out with others and help take care of them too, or give them a nudge too for that self-care. But y'all watch out, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.